Hey, Rainbow Warrior here, bringing you a really simple scarf pattern. The great thing about this pattern is that it looks great on both sides. You don't have a wrong side, which is really important when you make a scarf because you don't want one side to be ugly and the other side to look great. And it lays flat, which is important as well because you don't want the end of your scarves to roll up, which is what normally happens when you make a knit scarf. So let me show you what to do. You are going to need a pair of knitting needles. I'm using straight needles, and I am also using chunky yarn. It's really beautiful and soft. This white one is called Fisherman, and it's by Lion Brand. And I have this multicolored one as well, and this one is called Monarch. And these are just so soft and pretty that I had to do a plain pattern to let it speak for itself. So woolly, thick, and quick. And of course this technique would work with any kind of yarn. Alright, so to begin we're going to cast on. I'm using long tail, but you can use whatever method is your favorite. I just love my long tail cast on, and I swear once you start you will never go back. And I'm casting on 14 stitches just because this is pretty chunky yarn, and I was also nervous about running out of yarn because I'm making a very long scarf, so I didn't want to make it too thick. But of course, all the gauge and measurement information will be on my blog as always, so be sure to check that out if you want to determine how many stitches you need for your thickness of scarf. Alright, so this pattern is so simple you will be amazed. We're doing a rib pattern so it looks good on both sides. To begin, we're going to knit the first stitch, and I use my tail always for the first one just to help lock it in. And we're going to do a 1 by 1 rib. So now we're going to purl one. And we're going to do this all the way down, or knit one, purl one. So very simple. And the only time we're going to do something different is when we get to that last stitch, and I'll show you what you do. So if you need to choose an amount of stitches to work with, be sure to do so in multiples of 2, so this rib will work. And this technique would work with a 2 by 2 rib or any kind of rib you want as well. Alright, getting to my last few stitches, knit 1, purl 1. Here are my last 2 stitches. So I'm still going to knit 1, just like in my pattern, but rather than purling 1 and giving us a really funky edge, you're simply going to slip that last stitch. So just enter it knitwise and pass it onto your needle. Just like that. Alright, and now when we start the next row, we're going to do the exact same thing because we're working on the opposite side, and we're still going to knit 1, purl 1, knit our knits and purl our purls. So we get this nice pattern, and as you can see our yarn isn't quite where it should be. It kind of looks a little funky, but that's okay. You don't want to put the needle under the yarn. You want to put the needle over the yarn like this, so that way your yarn will wrap nicely around your stitch, and this is going to give you a nice uniform border, and your knitting is going to lay flat, and your scarf isn't going to roll up, which is just really ugly and not what you want. So you're going to continue with knit 1, purl 1. And this is what you're going to do throughout your scarf. It's really simple if you need to make a scarf in a hurry. It's something great to go with. As well, if you just have a really pretty yarn that you want to showcase, just like this. I think it looks so great. And here you can see our nice edging. And it looks the same on both sides. And that's really all to this pattern. I'm going to show you how to change color as well, just in case you want to do that. I've heard many knitters say that you're not supposed to change color on the end. However, if you're doing stripes, I don't know where else you would change color, so I always do it on the end, and this is how I do it. So I just wrap my new yarn around my needle, like so. And then I'm going to knit with my white yarn as well. And yes, this does give the stitch a more bulky look, and that stitch is now like mixed with both colors, but that's what I prefer. I think it gives it a much more gradual change to have a border with both colors, if you know what I'm saying. And now what it's important to do as well is my needle fell off there, is to twist your little tail, both your white one and the one to your new color, around your other yarn as you work. And this way your tail gets locked in to your work. Just like that. And now we're going to continue in pattern with our new color. So our same knit 1, purl 1, rib. And I will sew in those tails at the end. And now we are going to continue with our same pattern with our new color, our knit 1, purl 1, rib. And if you are interested, for my stripes, I am using the pattern of 20 rows of my main color, which is the white, and 10 rows of my accent color, which is this color here. Which is really pretty. It's this gray color, and it has some flecks of bright pink mixed in, and it looks really good with this white. And when you get to the end, same thing, just slip it knitwise, the last stitch. Then we're going to turn our work and continue on. And you will continue knitting your rows until you are satisfied with the length of your scarf. However long you prefer, I would suggest at least making it long enough to wrap around the neck once. Alright, so once you have knit your satisfied length, we're going to bind off. And we're going to bind off in pattern here. So we're going to continue with our knit 1, purl 1 pattern, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're simply going to knit our first stitch as always, purl our second stitch, and just in a normal bind off we're going to pass our first stitch over our second stitch. And we're going to do this all the way down. And again, we're doing it in pattern. So we knit the next stitch, then pass that first stitch over the second one. And you can use your needle. However, if you find that's really slippery, you can use your fingers as well. And purl the next one. Since it is a purl stitch, pass first stitch over the second stitch. And you're going to do this all the way down your scarf. Really quickly, I wanted to mention how to sew these tails in, since you are going to have a lot on this scarf. You're simply going to attach it to your tapestry needle and go up through each V this way, angle yourself, and then you're going to go back down the V the opposite way. So just a really small detail I wanted to mention, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to see it in this clip because it is just way too dark and bad image quality, but if you'd like me to make a tutorial or go into more detail about this, let me know. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this really simple design and that it helped you or inspired you to create your own knit scarf. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on future tutorials. Thanks for watching.